Yes people, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm Liam from Good Bloke Outdoors. So in this week's episode, I'm going to explain how I stay warm whilst camping in winter. Now before we go any further, I just want to make it clear, I'm no expert in this, but I have spent many nights camping in sub-zero conditions. And I've had a couple years to accumulate my winter gear. Now for me, preparation is everything. So before I set off, I need to know where I'm going to be going, what's the weather going to be like, what's the mountain forecast going to be like if I'm going to be camping in the mountains, and how long am I going for. And then that's going to determine what sort of gear I pack and what's going to be suitable to wear while I'm hiking. Now no matter what season it is, whether it's scorching hot in summer or in the depths of winter, I'll always start my clothing with a base layer. You'll have seen this one quite often in the videos if you're a regular to the channel. It's just a higher state base layer. One of the most important things is you don't want it to be cotton. So some form of synthetic blend, either a merino wool or a polyester base layer. So in winter, I'll wear this. I've got it in a couple different colours, under either a polyester fleece or under this Columbia coat. It's the Arch Rock. Now it's quite important that you don't build up too much of a sweat while you're hiking, because once you stop or you get to camp, you're going to be cold very quickly. A lot of the times when I'm hiking, I won't even wear this coat. I'll just stick with a nice polyester over the top of the base layer and then add this as and when I need it. When it comes to the bottom half, to be honest, I actually prefer hiking in shorts and leggings, more specifically the Nike trail running shorts. But I know they're not going to be suitable in some conditions. So the trousers I wear are by Revolution Race. Now for socks, I keep it pretty simple, darn tough over everything when it comes to comfort anyway. Occasionally I wear my sealskin socks as well, which are waterproof, and that's just in case the boots or the footwear I'm wearing is not waterproof. Now I also like to wear a woolly hat. I like this Rab one because it's relatively thin, and like I said earlier, you don't want to be building up too much of a sweat. I wear these Rab gloves, which I'm not sure what the model name is to be honest, and underneath them I've actually got some fleece liners from Decathlon. So if your hands start getting really sweaty, you can just take the liners out. And then if it is really cold, I've got a really thin little balaclava, which will just cover your face and take off some of that wind chill. So now I know what I'm going to wear for the hike, it's time to pack my bag. In winter I use the Berghaus Panamax 70 litre. You might be thinking 70 litre, that is massive, and it is. It's literally like Mary Poppins handbag. Unlimited stuff what you can get in there. I've never filled it, but I know I'm going to be able to comfortably carry all my winter kit. When it comes to choosing what tent to take in winter, the choice is pretty simple. The Hilleberg Solo Black Label. The reason being, it's a true 4-season tent, it's great in high winds, it's good for snow drifts, and most importantly, I know it's not going to let me down. Now for me, this is probably the most important part of how I stay warm camping during winter, and that is the sleep system. The sleeping bag I use is the Rab Ascent 900. Now it is actually listed on the Rab website at £340, which is pretty expensive to be honest. I didn't pay that for it. I did some shopping about and managed to find it on sale. Now it does come in at 1.5 kilograms, which isn't the lightest winter bag to be honest, but it does have a temperature rating down to -18, so that keeps me nice and warm. Now to go with the Rab Ascent 900, my sleeping pad of choice all year round is the Thermarest Neo-Air X-Lite, the yellow boy. You've seen that plenty of times. Now I really rate that mat. It's not let me down yet, and it has a decent R value, but what you might have noticed on my latest couple camps is I've started taking a Z-Lite closed cell foam mat. Z-Lite, well, it's actually a copy of a Z-Lite closed cell foam mat. Then I compare that with my Thermarest to increase the R value, and it's essentially a good backup if my air mat was to pop or fail. Now once I've got to camp and I've got my tent pitched, I like to sort out my sleeping system. So I get my air mat out, blow it up, get my sleeping bag out, give it a good shake, give that down plenty of time to loft up, and then I get changed out of my hiking gear. A down jacket, down pants and down booties are a must for every winter camp. I will not go on a winter camp without taking those items. Now I'm sure we'd all like to be head to toe in Rab down gear, I know I would anyway, but some of the stuff I use is actually more on the budget end. So I recommend going over to Decathlon and checking out some of the 4-class jackets. They actually show the temperature rating on the jacket, so it's worth checking out. And the down pants that I use, as well as the down booties, are actually by Nature Hike. So they're more budget end brand when it comes to camping equipment, but they're fit for purpose and they do the job for me. And they keep me nice and warm. One thing you've got to look out for with those down pants is size up, and size up a lot. I'm a medium with my trousers usually, and I got the XL with the down trousers. I also bring an additional woolly hat, which I usually keep my drone wrapped in, and some extra gloves thicker than the ones that I'd be hiking in. So for me, sometimes it's just about doubling up and just bringing a little bit extra than what you'd normally bring. So if you'd bring one pair of gloves, bring 2, maybe 3. If you'd normally bring 1 spare pair of socks, bring 2. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Because at the end of the day, once you're there and set up, you're there for night, so you might as well be comfortable and warm. Definitely filming a video in Bradford. I've had to pause every 2 minutes, but sirens going past. Sometimes it really is just about getting out and testing your kit, and then you know firsthand how well it's going to perform. And one thing I'd recommend getting is a little temperature gauge like this. A little digital thermometer. They're really cheap off eBay or Amazon. I'll actually put links to most of the gear that I've mentioned in this video in the description as well, so you can check them out for yourself. Now it's good to have one of these thermometers outside your tent so you can keep an eye on what the temperature actually is, not what the forecast says it is. And then you know if you're nice and warm, your kit seems to be performing and it's up for the job. And if you're not warm, then you know next time you need to be bringing more gear or improving your kit. So if you find your sleeping bag's just not quite warm enough, but you don't want to fork out on a brand new one, it might be worth buying something like a sleeping bag liner to pair with your sleeping bag, just to give you that extra little bit of warmth. You could even bring a bivvy bag. If you've got one of them, bring one of them, put your sleeping bag inside it. Another option is to buy a cheap quilt, like a synthetic quilt, not a big duvet that you keep at home, but just a cheap camping quilt that you can just lay over the top of your sleeping bag. Now, one thing I bring on every winter camp, I don't necessarily use them on every camp, is some hot hands hand warmers. You can just bang a couple of them in your sleeping bag an hour before you go to sleep. You don't want to be getting inside your sleeping bag already cold. It might be worth doing a couple of sit-ups, couple of press-ups, just to get your body temperature up before you get inside your sleeping bag. Remember, your sleeping bag doesn't necessarily generate heat, your body generates heat. Your sleeping bag keeps the heat inside. Or you could just bring a hot water bottle. I bet there's quite a few campers that like to do that. Now for me, especially in winter, it's important that I have some nice hot food to cook. And to cook that food, I need a good, reliable stove. The main stove I use is the Soto Windmaster. It's never let me down. However, you need to make sure the gas you're using is suitable for extreme cold conditions. And I've recently started delving into the world of alcohol stoves. So I'm actually going to be taking 2 stoves for my winter camps. My normal Soto Windmaster and my X-Boil alcohol stove. And in that way, if my gas or my stove does let me down, at least then I'm still going to be able to cook a nice hot meal and have a nice hot drink. And remember to bring some extra food as well, maybe some snacks or just something to keep you going, because those winter nights are extra long. You can be in that tent 16 hours plus. Make sure you got some films downloaded on your phone or whatever in case you don't have signal. And make sure you bring a reliable power bank with a high milliamp power, because it's not just us that gets cold in winter, as electrical devices can drain pretty fast. So I think as long as you've got your shelter, you've got your sleep system, you're wearing and you're bringing the correct clothing, and you've got some decent food with a reliable stove to make some food, you should be fine. Just make sure you try stick to going out in the conditions that's suitable for the gear that you've got. Well, since I just nearly stacked it on the ice, it's probably a good time to wrap up this video. Remember, this is how I stay warm whilst camping during winter. Let me know what you think in the comments. What sleep system do you use to keep warm? Have you got any tips for the other people that might be reading the comments? Make sure you're subscribed if you've not done already, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. In a bit.